Hello, it's time to review another card game. This is Ruckus Family Edition from Imagination. I think it's published by other people around the world, but the art's the same, the cards are the same, it's all the same. Now, the idea of this is it's one of those games where you have to get rid of everything out of your hand. Similar to Uno in that way, I suppose, except there's no numbers involved as such. Instead, what we have is we have rather good pictures. Let's have a look at a few of these. Got Bigfoot with his nice cup of tea, Cactus Ranger, Ice Cream, Roller X, Baby Doll, Elephant Tea, and so on and so on. I think there's 12 types if I remember correctly. So the game itself comes with 72 cards and a very small instruction book, and there are two ways to play the game. But they revolve around the same rules, so I will explain. You deal a hand of cards of 7 to each player. Let's do it roughly. There we go. Before the game starts, and you look at your hand, and if you've got 2 or more of anything, you play them in front of you. So I go Sparky, Baby Doll, Elephant Tea. Let's put that there. Well, I've been very, very lucky with my opening hand. I only had one card I couldn't play. If at this point I had played all of them, assuming that my opponent hasn't also done all of them, the round would end straight away before anything happens, and we just score that. But he'll play his. Let's see what he's got. And then he sets. Yep, he's got Bigfoot, and the rest are all individual ones. So that's his. These are mine for now. But the idea of this game is to play your cards and steal sets, because the more cards you own at the end of a round, the more points you get. Each card is going to be worth 1 point. If you manage to discard all of your cards first, you get a 5-point bonus, and if you've got any cards left in your hand at the end of a round, each one is worth -1, which will come off your score at the end of a round. You can't have a negative total, so you between rounds you can't end up going backwards. 0 is the least you can have in points. So playing it the first way, you have an allocated dealer, and what happens is at any point at which the game stalls and nobody can play anything, like at this point I can't, Cactus Ranger, well, there isn't a Cactus Ranger, so I'm stuck with this. So I'd say done, or I'd just sit there looking like I can't do anything until the dealer decides that nobody can play, at which point he'd deal another card face down to each player, and on their mark, however you want to say it, so turn over, go, whatever, we'd all look at our cards and play would resume until such time at which somebody has no cards in their hand, or once again nobody can go. Right, so I'm going to swap players for the moment, because I noticed over here but I have Baby Doll, and my opponent has Baby Doll, so this is their hand, imagine that. Ah, Baby Doll, they'll say, and put that on there, at which point that becomes theirs. And so it becomes clear quite quickly that sets are going to change hands quite rapidly, and although having an allocated dealer, it never feels all that frantic. It can be that, say, let's have a look, what have we got? So I had a set of Sparky here, and one player had a Sparky and another player had a Sparky. Whoever plays it first will get the set, but then somebody else might go, oh, I've got a Sparky, and then they take it. So there is a little bit of strategy in slightly delaying as you take a set, at least in this version, because time is not so much against you. But if you have a card that you could have played at the time at which the game stalls, and the dealer starts handing out new cards to each player, you're cheating. So you've ruined the game really there, which is a little bit of a problem, because you've only got the player's honesty, and although personally I won't ever play with anyone who cheats, at least I'll never play with anyone who cheats twice. With children you're going to get cheating, and you're going to have them not necessarily realising straight away. Which brings us to the age of the game. It actually says 8+. Now, the game itself is so simple. There's no reason at all why a younger child couldn't do it. And I think why they've put 8+ on this is because of frustration. I can see, I mean, my own son who's 5, he likes matching card games, he likes spotting sets and all that kind of thing. But if it was him against an adult and the adult's faster than him, he's going to get frustrated. So I think that's probably why they say 8+. They also say 2+ players. Obviously there is an upper limit, but I would think you could probably get away with 6 players, but that would be about the most. But anyway, that is the game. So at the end of each round, the points are tallied up. The first person, obviously, who discards all of theirs gets a 5-point bonus, and as I said, you get negative points for any left in your hand. This continues round after round until somebody has scored 77 points. It doesn't actually say what happens if more than one scores 77 simultaneously in a round, but it's pretty obvious whoever's got the highest, it's going to go to them, isn't it? And if it's a tie, I would say you probably have a round with just those 2 players. I don't know, doesn't really specify. But as a game, as I've described it there, with a dealer, it's a little bit plain, a little bit dull. It's okay, but it doesn't match its title, Ruckus, which suggests frantic action. Now, the second way to play it very much does represent Ruckus, because all the rules are exactly the same, except you don't have a dealer. So I'm just going to say we've got some cards out. There we go. However, that'll do. Now what would happen is, if I look at my hand and I can't go, oh no, none of those are out, I would immediately take another card, look at it, oh, I can play that one, off I go. Now I'm stuck again, keep going, and everybody's doing this at the same time, everybody's grabbing cards, everybody's shouting out, because you have to say what you put down as you put it down, and you're stealing sets from each other, and cards are flying all over the place, and that is a lot of fun. So I think that should be version 1, to be honest. I think it should be the standard rules, everybody plays at once, it gets frantic and hectic with shouting, throwing cards around, everybody getting excited and falling over the words, all good fun. And maybe the game with a dealer for younger players, so that they've got a little bit more time to think about it, so they don't get left behind. So what do I think of it? Well, I like this a lot. I bought this for, I think, £1 it was, from, I think it was Smith's a while ago. Well, it was on offer for some reason, and my rule is if a card game's under £5, I'll buy it and see what it's like. And with this, I'm very pleased I did. And it's nice to have a frantic everybody play at once game that 2 people can play, because these things almost always are 3+ players, and that's just not always possible. So, on the whole, I can highly recommend this, not for very young children, but it's brilliant as a little fun filler for older children and adults. And you could play matching games, you could use it for other things for younger children, or play the version with perhaps a parent being the dealer to keep it all fair. So that is Ruckus Family Edition. And that is it for me for today. I'm going to try and do a playthrough of this pretty soon, so we'll see how that goes. We've been playing it a little bit lately, and I'm quite catastrophically awful at it, but it's a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up soon. I'm going to look at a board and card game, or board or card game, about once a week or so, and try and do a playthrough. We'll see how that goes, but my plan at the moment is to review everything that I've ever played, and that is going to take some time. So, if games are your thing, toys are your thing, Legos your thing, or puzzles are your thing, or models are your thing, there's going to be stuff coming up. So, as usual, subscribe and like if you like, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.